So this is a film about Theresa May and why she should stop being Prime Minister in the UK. Andrew Lillico says that she should have been removed last December after the Phase 1 deal and replaced by someone who believes in Brexit. I've got 5 main points to make. The first one is that there's been very poor contingency planning under her leadership. There hasn't been very much planning for trade under WTO terms, for example. Number 2, she's not taken seriously by the European Union. As she goes to sign the deal or to sign off the deal which she's already presented to Parliament, she's trapped, waylaid, by the TSOC, by the Irish Prime Minister, and his concerns. I mean, when you look at the issue about the backstop and about the Irish border, well, the Irish border already exists. There's VAT, excise and currency controls there. It is a border with some purpose, and adding a customs element would not be an insurmountable job. Mrs. Merkel is the second EU leader. She says that she will not negotiate any further. This should now be the deal which is taken. Pedro Sanchez, the Spanish Prime Minister, has threatened that if this deal is not taken, the issue of Gibraltar will be pursued. In fact, he's saying the issue of Gibraltar demands an essential agreement already. And so if there are more negotiations that are going to take place, the fear is that the Gibraltar issue could explode. Second point. Mrs. May isn't taken seriously in the UK either. She's mocked for her poor judgment, calling a snap election, for example, in 2017. The draft of the EU treaty, members of her own cabinet leak, and Jeremy Hunt says that it's a turkey trap. Outrageous. Number 3, she relies on fear. She relies on the fear of no deal, voiced by Amber Rudd. There is not a majority in the Commons to allow for that option to take place, she says. Sturgeon says it's a stark choice between her deal and the cliff edge of no deal. This is a negotiation which is dominated by fear. Number 4 follows the idea. Mrs. May was formerly the person who led the Home Office. Look what a mess that has become. It's excessively bureaucratic. Maybe Mrs. May herself is excessively bureaucratic. Maybe the EU deal, which we're being presented with, is another instance of bureaucracy without any practical benefit. You can think of the deportation letters sent in error. You can think of the Windrush. You can think of the Jamaican man with cancer. And think of Mrs. May's initial response, well, if he doesn't have the money, he should go. Shocking. Shocking. So the problems of the Home Office have set a standard for the way that she is dealing with her Prime Ministerial office. Number 5, what is the alternative? Well, there are some alternatives. I'm not sure quite how exciting they all are. The first, I would say, is the premiership of Boris. But he was damaged, maybe fatally, at the last leadership election by his friend, Mr. Gove. Sajid Javid, a man with a background in finance, and a Eurosceptic, probably an ideal person to lead the country at this time. Dominic Raab, another skeptic, and a former lawyer, again, probably ideal, though there is gossip about him bullying people in his own office. Jeremy Hunt, a former Remainer and now a Leaver, and somebody who leaks from the cabinet. David Davis, a true Brexiteer and a likely candidate if there's an interim coronation. But a new leader might need a public validation. That could either be a general election or a popular vote in a referendum. But would a Eurosceptic want to risk another referendum when the polls suggest that referendum would be won by the Remain side? Finally, if there is a confidence vote that Mrs May loses, this could lead to a Jeremy Corbyn government, to Mr Corbyn being asked by the Queen to form a minority Labour government. This is an idea put forward recently by the Shadow Chancellor, John McDonnell. He says that it's too difficult to predict at the moment the final outcome. He speaks for us all. There we are. So this is Tim. I hope that's of interest.